you, Crenshaw! We do! We love you, Crenshaw! We do! We love you, Crenshaw! We do! Oh, Crenshaw, we love you!
Greetings, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark, your weekly EastEnders podcast. This week, discussing the episodes broadcast from the 5th to the 8th of June 2023. This is an EastEnders podcast, and we will be discussing a soap that has just won Best Soap at the British Soap Awards. Yeah! Whoop, 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 whoop. We'll be talking about the Soap Awards in just a second, and I will be doing it with this lovely lady. Hello, who are you?
Hi, I'm Ree. Hi, Rob. You all right?
Very well, darling. How are you this week? Are you well?
Yes, in very good spirits.
Well, talking to spirits, Ree was telling me before before we started recording that she went out last week for her first sort of after birth, after pregnancy drinking session, didn't you? So your first drinking session for like way over 9-10 months. Did you enjoy it? Did you get hammered?
Yeah, way over that time. No, I didn't get proper hammered. Obviously, can't do that anymore, Rob. Can't.
Why not?
I've still got a kid to look after next day.
Yeah, you didn't just leave the kid outside in the pram.
Well, no, obviously my other half had her, of course.
Yes, that's responsible.
But yeah,
you know?
yes, but you still don't get much sleep, and you have to be somewhat responsible.
Kids. This is why I'm never going to have one.
But it was good. It was good with my other mummy friend, and we both got a little more carried away than we were supposed to, but it's fine.
Hey ho, never mind. Can't do the hangovers anymore these days, though, can we? Not since we were at uni, where we used to get hammered every day, and we used to fine for 9 o'clock lectures, and like we went to 9 o'clock lectures. What am I talking about?
Yeah, but to be fair as well, mate, we used to be able to have naps when we were at
That's
uni.
true. That's true. Right in the middle of lectures.
Been to my 9 a.m. I deserve a nap.
To be fair, though, as if we went to 9 a.m. lectures. We never went to 9 a.m. lectures.
Well, to be fair, mate, as well, I did go to some, and then if I didn't go to some, I used to sometimes get busted because remember we used to pass a sheet around to write everyone's name on attendance. Yeah. And my name used to get written down like 4 times.
Well, because everyone was like, "Oh, I need to write Ree's name down."
Yeah, literally. I did get pulled up on it once.
Yeah, that happened to me as well. I got an email from one of my lecturers saying, "Why were you in my lecture 3 times today?" When I wasn't in this
totally.
Right, so
Anywho.
let's have a brief discussion about this year's Soap Awards, in which EastEnders did pretty bloody well. We're very, very pleased.
We knew that they would.
Well, I mean, I think, considering the turnaround that the show has had in the past year, if it hadn't won anything, it would have been an absolute travesty and disgrace. And interestingly, there's a bit of controversy going on at the moment with this, isn't there? Because all the viewer awards, which is the awards that the viewers themselves voted for, which is Best Leading Performer, Best Villain, Best Young Performer, and Best Soap. EastEnders won all of them, and not a single panel voted one did EastEnders win. Now, I'm not one for throwing controversy and conspiracy theories around. I don't wear a tinfoil hat. I don't wear a tinfoil hat.
Do it, Rob.
Well, it's just EastEnders did them bloody well, and by far and away the best soap at the moment.
How did the panel decide? I don't know who wins. I would like to know. They should tell us how they decide this.
I'd like to be on the panel. That's a great job. Just sit watch soaps for a living.
You might be a bit biased there, Rob, to be fair. You'd be like, EastEnders.
Not at all. Mind you, I think the point of the panel is to be able to give like some of the lesser known, lesser watched soaps like Doctors and Hollyoaks their due
true.
as well. Because Doctors and Hollyoaks did fine as well this year, so maybe that's.
But it was sus that EastEnders didn't get one panel vote, right?
Couldn't possibly comment, Ree. I think it's we'll get in a war with Conversation Street about this. We can't hear that, Ree. You can't hear that at all. It's far too quiet.
Coronation Street got a lot of panel votes, and it was hosted on the ITV. Just saying, I will say what Rob won't say.
That's because I'm professional. What can I say? So there we are then. Well done, EastEnders. Seriously though, best soap. As if we were in any doubt. You all did well. You all deserve it.
Also, Rob, hence the little wands that we've got on our screens.
We got our wands. Week. This is the closest we could get. All right. Zoom doesn't give you that many options, it turns out. So this is about as celebratory as we could get. But we've got a nice little wand rosette if you're watching on YouTube. And you can watch on YouTube, or you can be listening on Spotify, Apple, or any of your favorite podcast sites. This is a podcast all over the place. And we will be talking about this week's EastEnders as of right now. Let's get started. Okay, so the Knights are taking over the Vic. They are driving Linda insane. And bless Ollie as well. Like, Ollie is really struggling with the new arrivals. He's walking around with his headphones on. And the thing is with this, I can sort of get the girls not really kind of understanding the situation / not caring. You know, they're young and they're slightly sort of naive to all that sort of thing. Elaine should know better, though. And Elaine is starting to sort of... The fact that she's just completely and utterly not bothered about Ollie in terms of the fact that he's obviously really struggling with these new arrivals is not a good look for Elaine, I don't think. Do you?
No, and actually, when you were saying that, I was thinking the girls are probably being the most sensitive. They're actually trying to make an effort with him, aren't they?
Yeah.
And trying to build a bond with him. I've not seen Elaine do that. Or
you're right.
She cares.
And even George, who we'll discuss in a minute, might have a slightly darker side. But even George is kind of being quite considerate to Ollie and telling the girls, right, no, Ollie needs his breakfast now, get out of the kitchen. You know, so, and all Elaine's, especially at the start of the week, all Elaine is bothered about is kind of getting a leg over. Because obviously Elaine is in sort of honeymoon phase, despite the fact they're not engaged yet.
At this stage,
there's a lot to pick apart with the Knights at the moment because we start talking about this mum who we find out at the end of the week is called Rose. Now, I always say spoiler alert with this sort of thing. My thinking is that if you are watching an EastEnders podcast, it will not have escaped your attention the rumours and noise that has appeared with this. And I think at the very most you will be aware that something has been revealed, but you don't want to know what, and we are about to discuss that. So if you don't want to know what it is, you somehow manage to avoid it, fast forward a few seconds. But this mum is looking quite likely to be Cindy, if all the rumours to be believed.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? It seems well, or is that because we're watching it with that mindset, so now we just can't unsee it?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing...
There are a lot of theories going around, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this is also, we're told that the mum walked out on them and basically disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, George has no idea whether she's alive or dead. And frankly, that's understandable if it is Cindy, because who knows whether she's alive or dead. But 9 years ago was also when Lucy died. Which I don't know.
Oh, I did not make that connection.
I don't know if there is a connection there, whether that's just a coinky-dink.
Interesting.
It's not like Cindy appeared, you know.
Well, you're sparking a lot more rumours now, Rob, after pointing that out, because I'd not clicked that at all.
Just call me a flint, sparking left, right, and centre. But then, even if there is that connection, it doesn't exactly explain where Cindy will have gone, because it's not like she
or why she's left
when Lucy. No, or it didn't answer when Lucy died. It's not like she appeared.
Or is it if it is Cindy? We're speculating massively here, but obviously she's faked a death already, as we know. So is it because whoever she's had to fake a death from or for has then found out where she is, which is why she's left? Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, obviously,
if it is Cindy.
If it is Cindy, well, George
is. It, but...
We don't know, though. We don't know.
No, we don't.
I mean, this is the thing. Nothing's been confirmed because obviously the show is still trying to.
Cindy,
we don't know that. We don't know it yet. All right. We don't know because George is obviously still basically desperately in love with this woman who left him. Because he has brought his own safe into the Vic, which Linda is instantly suspicious about, and he's thrown all love letters and stuff that him and Rose used to share together into this safe. And that seems to be the only occupant of this safe as well. Just these love letters that he wants to keep secret from Elaine. He's told Linda, so how long they're going to remain a secret? Because Linda really doesn't have any need to keep that a secret. I think he's kind of doing that thing where it's like, yeah, I'm going to tell you the secret because this is me extending an olive branch to you, all right? So if you can keep the secret, that means you are good. Which is there another thing in the safe that isn't just not showing her? Because he didn't actually take her to the safe and let her look in the safe, did he? He brought something from the safe. And by the way, that's kind of like an old school version of what like iMessages will be now, isn't it? Yeah. Like people holding on to, don't you think? It'll make you think it when you're saying it. Like, yeah. You can't leave a letter unread, though, can you? That's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the thing is, obviously, at the end of the week, we have that moment where George, I think, takes off his ring and like apologizes to the ether. So he clearly is still very hung up on this mysterious Rose. We'll call her the mysterious Rose for now because we haven't got 100% confirmation this is anything to do with Cindy. I mean, the thing is as well,
but it is.
Well, you don't know that because it is. The fact that we've got a mysterious woman in the background and the fact that we've now heard that Cindy may well be returning, it doesn't necessarily mean the two are connected because we know that Ian's
you could totally see Cindy with him there, couldn't you? It'd be so believable. And even those two girls would be her daughters.
This is the other thing, and this is the interesting thing because obviously at the moment you've got Freddie and Bobby who are kind of becoming quite obsessed with the new girls. Now stick Bobby with one of the sisters and bring Cindy back to find that her daughter is with the kid or guy that killed her other daughter. Instantly, you've got the drama. So it
makes sense, doesn't it?
It's like
Cindy, but
it's like all the dominoes are lined up for this to all work out like that. But I don't know. I think we're gonna have to wait and see. But everything else, I mean, Phil and George, by the way, have become great mates.
You got your wish.
I got my wish. But this is the thing. Phil has not had a mate since Minty. And I think that it just humanises Phil to just have a friend. True. Makes him a normal human being because Phil has been so isolated for the rest of the square because he's Phil Mitchell. And so for him to have a mate, even if that mate has to be like a famous boxer, of course he's a famous boxer.
It makes total sense for Phil for that to be his mate though, doesn't it? It needs to be someone else who's got a good rep and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it totally makes sense. And he has organised with George that they're going to sort out fight nights at the boxing ring and then they can kind of do drinks.
Pie and mash evening at Queen Vic or something. Yeah,
lads.
Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting. So Linda has obviously been driven mad this week with everything that's going on because the Knights have completely come in, taken over. Noisy music, noisy people. And she doesn't trust George as far as she can throw a grand piano. And frankly, I don't know whether I trust George yet because there is still that sort of sinister undertone to him. It's odd. Like
you said there, Rob, about the bit at the end with the ring. You need not notice the sinister mirror shot that we got.
Yeah.
Where they were showing him looking really evil. That would deliberate.
Yeah,
so
and the fact that that when Linda did confront him, he turned it didn't turn necessarily nasty, but he turned quite intimidating, didn't he? So
there was an evil glint there, weren't
there? Yeah, there is that layer to him. It's interesting.
And obviously Linda looked up how much the bar were going on sale for.
Yeah,
and then he said, "Oh well, I'm doing it because I don't want other buyers to see it going for less." And did you believe any of that?
Well, this is the thing. So. Obviously, the idea was that she was supposed to believe that Elaine and George had arrived in Walford, and Elaine and George completely kind of hand in hand bought the Vic together. As it transpires, the money that was supposed to be going to George from the bar has not been given to Elaine because the bar has not been sold. And it seems at this moment that George has absolutely no intention of selling the bar. He has put the bar on sale for way more than what it's worth. In his excuse to that is that he's got private buyers, and if they saw that the bar was being put on sale for a reasonable price, they wouldn't give any extra other than a reasonable price. So he's trying to basically coerce private buyers into giving him more money for the bar in Spain. That's his excuse, and he's now kind of saying, "Oh yeah, well obviously that's going to take a little bit longer," which is why Elaine hasn't got any money yet. Linda obviously is kind of like, you're literally obviously trying to completely fleece my mother. Get out of my pub. Yeah. Which you can understand.
Get out of my pub. Yeah.
Well, exactly, but not quite in the Peggy sense. Meanwhile, of course, she's trying to find out more. She takes Gina and Anna, who I have to say I'm loving so far, by the way. I like them both. The sisters, you can sort of tell Gina is obviously the slightly more flighty one, the more gobby one. Anna seems a little bit more reasonable, a little bit more naive. Yeah. It's interesting that when they went out for the lunch, Linda tried to take them on because she takes them to Walford East and is basically trying to coerce them with wine and food and Ravi. And so, because Gina fancies Ravi.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can't blame her, really, can you? And she's basically trying to coerce details out of him, and Gina cottons on immediately what she's doing. But then instantly sort of like, she gets a bit angry about it, but then she's sort of like, but I get it. I understand what you're doing. whereas Anna was just quite happily like looking at pictures of dogs and like dog outfits and everything. So it's interesting to sort of see the difference between them. They're two quite different characters, which I like. They've both got their own
definitely.
sort of It's nice. And there was that nice moment between Gina and George when Elaine eventually accepted his proposal.
Yes.
And Gina is obviously more cut up about the mum thing than Anna is. I think Anna's more prepared to move on. Yeah. So there's a lot to uncover with this lot, which is exciting for a new bunch of characters.
I believe that George is genuine there for Elaine.
Do you?
But I don't. Yeah, I do. But I don't know what it is, what this darker side is. But I do believe that it does. Yeah, I believe that that's genuine.
Yeah,
I think he's hiding something, but I just don't know what. I think it's just the Rose stuff.
Yeah, he's definitely hiding something, and there's something that we don't know about the Rose stuff. Yeah, it's other than the fact it might be Cindy, but as in terms of the character stuff.
It is Cindy. Sorry,
you don't know that.
I'm trying to wind you up now, mate. You just hook, line, and sinker.
If we were in the same room, I'd say.
I know.
But there is something that he's keeping on top of it all. He's clearly hiding something quite big, I feel, as well, which can make it look as though he's a villain, but I don't think he is a villain. Obviously, with him being a new bloke, he is automatically a suspect for being on the floor on Christmas Day. It's possible, Colin Salmon is, to go about, break the fourth wall a little bit. Colin Salmon is a big actor. He's a great actor. Yeah. Does he want to do like a massive, massive long stint in EastEnders? We don't know. He may have signed up to that and thought, that's great. I'd love to do that. Or maybe he's in it for like a few months before he dies on Christmas Day. We don't know. So there is still a lot more to come for that. The other thing to point out this week is that we learned that Janine has given birth in prison to a son. So Mick's son has now been born.
I totally forgot that she was pregnant. Totally forgot until they mentioned it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, she was pregnant."
It's mad, isn't it? Like you kind of wonder what. I mean, obviously, Janine's pregnancy sort of motivated Mick to sort of stay with her. Otherwise, I think he would have left Janine a lot before then. But after that, you sort of think, there's now a little mini Carter going around. Janine has another kid, and he's growing up in prison apparently. Because it's not like this kid has got anyone to go to apart from maybe Janine's relatives. And so I don't know whether we'll see.
You know that Linda would, in an ordinary circumstance, because obviously she's saying, "Oh, it's Mick's son."
Yeah.
I'm surprised that she's not offered. But obviously, I think she just knows that Janine will send her.
Oh yeah, Janine. But
Janine for Mick, I would have thought that she would take him in straight away. I mean, he has with Annie, hasn't he?
Yeah,
on a few occasions.
Annie, by the way, we haven't seen for a long, long time. All of a sudden, is a little girl. Like she's. Not
that happens, mate. That happens, mate.
They grow, kids.
She actually had the same outfit on that my daughter's got, which I found quite funny.
Oh. It was just like now and again. This is the thing with soap kids; like they don't get seen for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden they've grown.
Because it does happen, though.
Yeah, it happened with Bailey. Bailey didn't show up. Bailey didn't appear for like a year, and all of a sudden she was like a young, like she's a teenager.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? Kids growing. So let us know in the comment section below. There's a lot of things to uncover about the night still. Any theories? Do you think it's Cindy? Do you think it's not Cindy? Ree thinks it's Cindy. Ree 100% thinks it's Cindy. But we shall have to wait and see. But
I'm going to be wrong now.
I hope you are. And I will never let you forget it. But let us know in the comment section below what your theories are about the nights. How are you getting on with them? Do you like them behind the bar? Let us know in the comment section below or by any of the social media outlets. All right, we move on now to the aftermath of Lola's death last week. And the one you've got to feel sorry for at the moment is Lexi, isn't it? Bless her. I mean, this is what we wondered with Lexi, though, isn't it? Because I thought that Lexi dealt with like the initial sort of event and the whole kind of lead up to Lola's death quite well. And now she's starting to feel the effects. Now she's becoming quite withdrawn and sad.
Almost mute, isn't she?
Well, yes, she is. And Ben is trying to sort of get her talking. But again with Ben, like there was a moment this week where he turned around and went, "I'd like you to come and live with me. Do you want to come live with me?" And it's kind of just like she obviously doesn't want to live with you, Ben, because she wants to be close. It seems quite an obvious thing that the last thing she would want to do right now is completely and utterly upheave everything around her and change her environment because she wants to be close to her mum at this point.
Yeah,
it's a bit soon for that sort of thing.
Yeah,
surely.
Exactly. And it also feels like, I know Ben is trying to do what he thinks is best for Lexi, but it's almost like he's trying to do what he thinks he should do to make himself feel better as well, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, this is the thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Ben's motivation here is the fact that obviously he feels guilty about the fact that he missed Lola's death. He wasn't there for Lexi when Lola actually died.
Yeah.
So I think he now sort of feels that, right, well, if she comes and lives with me, I can more than make up for that. Despite the fact that Ben is in... We learned this week that Ben is in tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt because obviously all the money that he was trying to shell out for Lola's supposed treatment, that's obviously was a complete waste of money. And he's now had to sell the Archers to Sharon, which Phil is not impressed by.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, so he's already kind of spent the down deposit on that, so he's now without a business. He's just, I don't know how much the Archers will be worth or how much money he would actually get from that. Like, how much can a garage really be worth? I don't know.
Well, you'd think quite a bit in London, but then again, it sounds like they're renting the space, so he's maybe just sold the lease to Sharon.
Maybe, yeah.
But it still could be worth a fair bit. I don't know
though. I can imagine like it being a completely own, like Mitchell.
Yeah, I was just thinking that when I said it actually, because they've had it for so long, haven't they?
They have, and also the fact that Phil can quite happily stick his hand in a safe and just randomly pull out 10 grand would suggest that he is he can pay for his own properties.
But that money may not necessarily have been coming from the Archers, Rob.
No, that's true.
Cash that
So he's in lots and lots of debt. He's trying to get Lexi to move in with him. She isn't budging. And obviously Lexi is just becoming more and more withdrawn and sad. So what they decide to do is Lola has left them a memory box. Lola had kind of given instructions for them not to open the box before Lola's funeral. But obviously the boys being the boys are kind of like, now we'll watch it now. We'll watch it now. Why would you, it's why don't we just watch it now? And I thought a really nice moment with Lola's video message to Lexi. So sort of officially, I think, the last appearance of Lola this week, which was nice. Which she literally says, like, I did ask for this not to be watched before the funeral, but I know for a fact you're watching it beforehand. So, which, again, nice.
Yeah, I liked that touch.
And she also leaves Ben and Jay a unicorn each from their trip to Margate to sort of remind them that they're in the same boat. And so I need you two to be getting on for Lexi's sake. So, yeah, you kind of give a lot of credit to Lola, I think, for sort of the thoughtfulness in which she left all of those things behind. So what the future for Lexi now is, I think she's going to obviously want to have to stay with Jay. And I think I'm getting the sense now that Ben and Jay are going to come to blows over that at some point. Because I think Ben is finding it difficult that Lexi isn't wanting to spend like more time with him now, and that he would like she will go to Jay for comfort, which obviously I think is narking Ben a little bit. And then obviously, of course, we're getting hints again of Ben's eating disorder. So he went to lunch with them in the Vic this week, and then obviously had to go to the loo to throw it up. So that's still kind of going on in the background. I don't know how long that's kind of going to go on for.
He's not looking too well either, is he, Ben, this week?
No, but the thing is,
noticeably worse than everyone else who's grieving. I
thought. That's the thing. He's kind of throwing himself into like mad running exercises and all that kind of thing. I don't know if he's still necessarily training for the boxing gym, but he is doing that thing that the boys of Albert Square do all the time when they're stressed and go for a run. I'll go for a run. I cannot think of anything worse to do if I was stressed. And that's just me being a fat effalump.
Oh, mate, no, I actually find exercise very stress reducing.
Do you? I'll try it sometime.
100%. It gets all your dopamine going, doesn't it?
Get all you what going? Your dopamine. Is that the official term for it?
Oh, no, that's the wrong one. It's endorphins. I'm on about the other one.
What's dopamine? What does that do?
Dopamine's like it's the pleasure in your brain almost.
Oh.
What is that? So like drugs can spark that and alcohol, but also mundane things as well, like sports and exercise can as well for people.
Oh, well, there you go. So all of Ben's fiends are kind of running crazy.
Endorphins, though, I meant to say on that occasion.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Ben is just kind of going to keep falling from here, isn't he? For now, until someone sort of picks him up. You'd like to think it would be Callum. I don't know if it will be, though. Callum is sort of looking a bit sort of clueless as to how to deal with Ben at the moment, because obviously Ben...
He's too busy detectiving, isn't he?
He's far too busy being a detective somehow. And he's also kind of, obviously, Ben has kept this debt secret from Callum until the last moment, until he is actually in a situation where he can say, I am tens of thousands of pounds worth in debt. Not at any point turning around to Callum and saying, I might start getting in debt soon, so we might want to talk about this. No, none of that. Callum has now just been left with a husband who has left him with tens of thousands of pounds worth of debt. It's just typical Ben, isn't it? Like, he just keeps it all to himself, and then he sort of looks at himself and goes, this is the result.
I do remember a while ago. Remember when Jay approached Ben and said, "Can I borrow some money?" And Lola did at the same time, and then he did feel a bit of pressure, didn't he, to do it?
Yeah. That was the start of it, wasn't it? Because he also it wasn't just the treatment; it's also the fact that he was helping Jay and Lola out. So overall, he's just got himself into more and more debt.
Yeah.
So there we are then. So that's sort of the Lola stuff. The other small story which we will discuss now is Sonia, Keanu, Sharon, and Reiss. So with Ben selling the Archers to Sharon, we are then treated to some scenes we haven't had for a while, actually, between Sharon and Keanu. Now, the reason Sharon wants the Archers is to give it to Keanu so that he can have his own business. And what she has failed to remember is the fact that Keanu has never run a business in his life and doesn't know the first thing about running a business. So she kind of surprises him with it. She kind of springs it on him. And he's kind of like, thanks, I think, for my business. Karen is delighted because she's now got literally the first person in her family to own their own business. The Taylors are a high achieving bunch.
Well, he's a bit proud about it though as well at first, isn't he, Keanu?
Well, he is, but I think
he's kind of provide.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Yeah, but he's being defensive because he knows full well that he doesn't know what he's doing. Because Sharon immediately senses, right, yeah, this was a terrible idea. You need help. So what she does is she brings in Reiss to be his accountant. Some lovely Reiss scenes this week. Reiss, I fall in love with more and more as the weeks go on. I adore him.
Yeah, definitely.
And him and Sonia as well as a couple are working really nicely. But the best moments from this, I know, like they had the whole thing with Sonia and Reiss this week and the sort of awkward bisexual conversation, which was funny in itself, all right. But the main highlights from this came from Reiss and Keanu attempting to bond. I've done
brilliant.
That. I've done that with sort of geezer straight lads before, and it's kind of like, I don't know what to say to you. I have no idea what to say.
What have you done? Have you looked at football and stuff before?
Genuinely, I've
oh my God, Rob.
When I start at a new job and I sort of sense that there's a lot of straight people here, I should probably, and they're all chatting about football. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going on Wikipedia and trying to I'm not doing what Reiss did and sort of Googling all recent results from the match and then saying, I don't know, have you watched any match? I've got the list at my disposal. Any match you want to talk about, I'm ready for you. It was fun. I like it.
Well, to be fair though, I think a lot of lads only talk about football because it's something for them to talk about.
Football or cars?
So I guess that you can. Cars? No, people don't talk about cars.
Men talk about cars. Men talk about cars. Yes.
No, they don't.
I think you'll find they do. I mean, well, the thing is, I found before I started driving that I have no idea what any car is. Like, people were asking me, like, "Oh, what car you drive for your driving lesson?" I was like, I've read one. I don't know.
Mate, I asked you that and you answered me, so well done.
Thank you very much. I called a Yaris. That's what I'm driving at the moment.
A Yaris, yes. Yep.
Couldn't point it out in the street, but it's a Yaris. It's a red Yaris. So if you see that in the Lincolnshire area, drive away because I might crash. So
drive away.
Yeah, so Sharon is basically has brought Reiss on board to sort the accounts out, and Keanu at first is kind of like you say, a bit sort of like shirty about this. Oh, you're saying I can't do my own accounts? Sharon's like, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. And fair play, because we discovered this week that Keanu got an E in maths, which I'm telling you now is more than what I got in my GCSE. I failed maths completely. Got a U. Yeah, I failed my maths.
Surprised at that.
I failed my maths GCSE. I maintain to this day it's because they put me through to the wrong exam. Because in my GCSE,
did the higher paper but learned at a lower grade. Yeah, I did that with science, mate.
I did intermediate maths, and they put me through. And if you don't get an 8, I don't know if it's still the same, because obviously I took my GCSEs 150 years ago.
Well, it's all numbers now, the grades.
I know, the grades, that's the time when you're getting old, isn't it? Because remember when people talk about
you don't O-levels.
GCEs and O-levels, you're like, how old are you? O-levels, I got GCSEs now. Yeah. We can't do that anymore because they've changed again. Different grading system is a different age, I'm telling you. But anyway, so the intermediate thing, you could only get A to C, and if you didn't get an A to C, you failed it.
Yeah, I remember. So, well, a C and above's a pass anyway, but yeah,
so there you go. Go on.
But to be fair, sorry, to this Sharon and Keanu situation, right? Yes. If you can get someone else to do your accounts and do
Why wouldn't you?
Get someone to do it, mate.
Why wouldn't
because you know what? I do accounts and it is boring.
Yeah, I don't understand why Keanu would be upset about this for a single second.
Boring and it's rubbish.
I mean,
however, you do get there are pros and cons, but yeah, it's doing it myself, but still.
No offense to any accountants out there. If you're if you're an accountant and you're offended about what Reiss saying, send abuse her way. It's not me. I think all accountants and all are fascinating and a fabulous profession to get into.
Well, they probably do it at a way higher level than what I do when I do accounts. So what I do is boring. Okay.
So we'll talk briefly about the Reiss and Sonia scene, because Reiss discovers this week that Sonia is actually bisexual. Now, this is quite a fairly big moment.
Yeah.
I actually think, I might be wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong, viewers and listeners, I think this actually might be the first time that Sonia has ever actually stated that she's bisexual.
I don't think it's the first time that she has.
It might. I don't know. It's one of the first times, because it's very rarely mentioned about Sonia's sexuality. She sort of described herself as sort of fluid and a bit flighty. The last time, because if you remember, when she broke up with Tina, Shirley was like having a go at her in the square, and they had a big old row in the square. It was a great scene. But Shirley was basically kind of like calling her a sort of failed lesbian and all that kind of thing, saying that it wasn't fair how you straights pretend that you're a lesbian to keep women, so Sonia would have those kind of arguments with people, and I don't think it's really been kind of acknowledged herself that she is bisexual much. So
I disagree with that, but I cannot quote you. So
you got nothing.
You might be right. No, I've got absolutely no evidence.
Just disagreeing with me.
So if you agree with me in the comments, please let me know. Because I'm sure that it's a thing. I'm sure. I feel like it's not something that she's not said
don't
before.
Get me wrong. I may well be wrong.
Quote. Yeah.
And trust me, people will correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But I feel like this is definitely one of the first times that Sonia has kind of stated outright, I'm a bisexual. Because I feel like the show has said in the past, though, yeah, we haven't really done much of a service for bisexuals, and they kind of used Sonia as the example to that. So if this is the start of it, marvelous and about bloody time. Yeah. But it's interesting. But Reiss is completely floored by this revelation, and it's sort of like he goes onto a really awkward little sort of word diarrhea, basically word vomit, and just all comes out of his mouth wrong. He makes a load of silly statements, using phrases like "tod your tail," or that kind of thing. And Sonia gets into a bit of mood with him.
It was awful, weren't it?
It was terrible.
It was bad.
Yeah. It was very bad. And a really nice moment is when Keanu basically sorts this out and tells Reiss how to apologise to a woman when you've done something stupid.
Yeah.
To which the end is basically Reiss apologises to Sonia by saying, "You're wild. I had no idea how wild you were." And Sonia's like, "I am quite wild. Yes, I am absolutely insane." Which I love that. I thought it was really, really nice. And by the end, Reiss is really grateful to Keanu, calls him mate. Yeah. He's clutching his beer bottle.
Yeah,
so I hope this is actually the start of a bit of a friendship between Keanu and Reiss.
Same. I really enjoyed that dynamic. Yeah, I think that'll definitely work.
It's a really nice dynamic, and it's a sort of another kind of accolade that you can give the Clenners era, that he has really kind of come in and sort of focused on relationships in the square, but not just kind of couples, but like friendships. So we talk about the Phil and George thing. He's really focused. He's brought the Ben and Jay stuff back to more of a focus. There's friendship groups. You look at Whitney, Chelsea, Felix, and Finley in their house. Like he's really sorted out some of like people having friends and making them realistic. Yeah. You have mates, and it's something that gets forgotten about in soaps really easily. So Keanu and Reiss being friends together, I'm 100% here for. That'd be really, really nice. So some good stuff there. But yeah, do let me know if I'm wrong about that bisexual thing. You might be right. I just feel like it's not ever mentioned that Sonia's bisexual. So for this to be kind of like an official
maybe
sort
you're
of her
right.
saying it is, I think it's nice. So finally, ladies and gentlemen, we will move on to one of the big stories of this week, and that is the Panasars. So to the final story of the week now, and that is the Panasars. And this took quite the turn this week. Suki and Eve planning on fleeing and finally kind of running away and being together. And Nish kind of gives them a good opportunity this week because he has arranged to do a job. Now, we know in EastEnders parlance, a job means something illegal that we don't need to know the details of. It just means something illegal that the police can arrest them for. That's all we need to know. And because Vinny apparently has screwed up again at some point this week. Like he's made some Vinny cock up. So Nish is angry with him. Vish is annoyed with him. So decides to pull Ravi onto this job. And Vinny is sort of feeling all sorry for himself and gave us a nice, some nice scenes between Suki and Vinny. Vinny, I think at the moment is really kind of showing his is turning into quite a good character recently. I think it took a while for Vinny to sort of really step forward and sort of become a big part of the Panasars. But I think now, obviously, everyone else is gone. Vinny's allowed.
I was going to say now he's the only kid left. Yeah,
and Vinny's actually now been allowed to step forward and really become his own character, which is really nice to see. Because I'm a big Vinny fan.
I've always liked Vinny as well.
I do like
I've
Vinny.
always liked him. Yeah,
I think it's interesting because I think this week really solidified my theory for Christmas Day. I have to say. I am now convinced. I mean, it seems impossible at the moment for it to be anybody other than Nish on the floor on Christmas Day, doesn't it? It seems pretty likely, right? I think. Yeah. My theory at the moment is that it's Nish on the floor on Christmas Day. Vinny is the one that has done it. In sort of one of those kind of, how proud of you owe me now, Dad, and like smack him over the head or something, you know, that school of thought. Because if you remember, think back to the flash forward, Suki is kind of looking all stunned and shocked, like more so than the other women, I thought. And like she has to sit down, and Kathy kind of looked at her significantly. So clearly, I thought that gave the impression that Suki was genuinely kind of quite connected to the body on the floor. And if Vinny does it, that would mean that Suki would potentially then face a third kid going to prison. So
good point.
So she'd have to cover for him. So I think it might be Vinny. I do think it might be Vinny. Do you agree, or do you have another theory for Christmas Day?
No, I think I said it a while ago. To be fair, which I tried to say to you, but at the moment, all I know is that it's got to be Nish. That's my only thinking.
I mean,
it could be Ravi as well.
It could be Ravi, but I feel like Ravi is sort of
Ravi who kills him, not on the floor.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, because we know that Ravi has killed, and we've seen Ravi kill. It's just interesting. I think in terms of, a character like Nish has a shelf life, all right, because he's vile. You know, he's an abuser. Yeah. So someone like that isn't going to be somebody that we're going to still be talking about in terms of him being on the square still in like 3 years' time. But someone like Ravi has kind of got like quite a lot of layers to him. You're not sure, you're never sure whether to like Ravi or kind of hate Ravi or what to do, which is why Ravi won Best Villain of the Year, by the way, this year at the Soap Awards. Yeah. Well, and very well deserved. But someone like Nish is kind of like, he is prime suspect for a whodunit. Yeah. To be killed off by somebody, because he's pissing people off left, right, and centre, isn't he? And Suki especially, and there's that high emotionally charged stuff with Suki this week, because Nishi's just in a foul temper all week because Vinny's screwed up, and with this illegal job on the go, Suki and Eve decide to use that as an opportunity. Right, we can get rid of Nish now. We can send him to prison, and then we can run away and be happy together, and all will be marvelous. Fat chance, because someone tips Nish off, he automatically thinks it's Vinny. And kind of comes over with a raging temper, and goes to attack Vinny, and then Suki stops him. And this came out of nowhere for me, I thought. Didn't it? Didn't it? Same. Great stuff. When Suki's kind of like, I don't love you. I've never loved you. I hate you. Go away. Essentially, marvelous. I was like, oh. So that's exciting. I mean, this did all come out of nowhere. Or her outburst, because I have kind of been wondering with Suki, like, does she want to leave Nish? Like, because it seemed that Eve was really pushing the sort of running away plan, and Nish and Suki was just going, yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. But not actually 100% convinced by it. Excuse me.
I think in an ideal world, she doesn't want to leave, does she? She don't want to have to run off, and she don't want to leave Albert Square. I think that's what's, that might be what you're seeing, the hesitance. But I think she does want to leave Nish. Of course she does.
Yeah, but what I mean is, I think not that she didn't want to leave Nish, but in terms of the fact that she might have been too scared to leave Nish, which I think was really demonstrated.
I see. Sorry, I've got you. Yeah.
Which I think was really demonstrated this week, because when Nish finds out that Suki was the one that shopped into the police, and that she doesn't love him, he goes mad, chucks a bottle across the floor, and then instantly tells her to clean it up, like proper, like, abusive husband territory. Yeah. Okay, and Suki does it, and it's kind of like you forget again, like how these like people that are in these sorts of relationships find it so difficult to leave, even if the evidence of what they need to leave is so in front of them. They can't, because it's scary, and they're scared for their well-being and their lives.
And then obviously she's just seen that he nearly attacked Vinny, and you think that she might be scared of leaving Vinny with him and under his influence.
He is volatile. He's got a fiery temper. and he's unpredictable, and that's the scariest thing about people in these sorts of people, is that the unpredictability means that anything can happen. And we know that Nish has killed somebody out of pure jealousy. I was just
thinking, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So how do you run away from someone like that without?
Well, like she were trying to. You have to literally run off and go undercover, so to speak, so that he wouldn't ever find her, because he'd come back with a vengeance, wouldn't he?
He would. And bearing this in mind, and bearing everything that we've just said about Nish in mind, when Vinny returns home on the evening that Suki and Eve are trying to run away, he finds Suki unconscious at the bottom of the stairs with Nish standing over her. And what do we think? Did Nish push her, or did she do a Laura Beale and fall down the stairs? What happened? Do you think he pushed her?
I think she fell. I don't think he pushed her.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why they wouldn't show us him pushing her if that is the case. So what is this? What is this leading up to? I think she's just tripped on rushing out of the house with a suitcase.
Yeah.
Maybe she started rushing because she heard him coming in and she wanted to hide the suitcase.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, the suitcase, by the way, I don't know, I'm starting to get the impression that Nish knows more than he's letting on at the moment.
Or at the very least, to look like he's figuring it out.
Or at the very least, he's starting to sort of put the pieces together. And the suitcase wasn't exactly hidden until Ravi hid it, which I loved, by the way. I really like that moment where Suki was like, hide the suitcase. And Ravi, you can tell, was sort of going, oh, I see what was about to happen here. Okay, interesting. So he hides, because he knows Nish, and he knows what Nish's temper is. Like, Ravi has been on the receiving end of Nish's temper before, all right? So he knows exactly why Suki would want to run away from something like that.
I've just clicked to something, by the way, as you were saying that. Yes. What if Nish had already seen the suitcase, and then he's going to piece together that somebody tried to hide the suitcase, is going to find it, and then have an enemy with Ravi.
Interesting.
Also, that's an hand luggage suitcase, that. She's travelling light, isn't she, considering she's about to do a runner?
They always do when they leave
Eve's
Wolford.
Bigger than suitcase. She had a big old one. Like,
nobody ever takes a big suitcase when they leave Wolford. You could live in Wolford for years and years and years, and when you leave, you could fit all your life's possessions into one small handbag or one small suitcase. Everybody does it. You could, like, Dick Whittington could quite happily have lived in Wolford and done up all his belongings in one of those little satchel things that you put on your back and strolled off into the sunset, because that's all they ever leave with. It always happens. But to be fair as well, like, if you're making a quick escape, then you want to just like take essentials with you, don't you? So throwing it all into one easy carry around suitcase is probably a wise idea.
I can't travel like me. I won't be able to.
But you're not running away from an abusive partner, are you? Like, it's a bit different.
Yeah, but you want outfit choices as well, Rob. You don't want to just be tied down to.
You're mad. She's not going on holiday. She's not off to Butlins for 2 weeks. She was trying to run away from her abusive husband.
Yeah, exactly.
You buy clothes when you're there. We buy clothes when you reach your destination.
You might cut a bank account off.
He might do.
We've got some cash or something.
Well, it's not going to come from Eve, is it? Because Eve has basically left her job at the chip plant, and Nish ain't going to be paying her any more money when he works out where she is.
So take more of your stuff with you, so you don't have to buy it. Think your expenses.
Think ahead. Think ahead is basically what you're saying. All right. Yeah. So obviously Suki ends up in hospital. When we get to the hospital, we learn that she's got a fractured rib, and they're scanning her for a head injury. Suki has no memory of what actually happened, or why she's in hospital, or what actually happened. And I didn't think of it till you said it, but that's interesting actually. Like, why would they make a mystery out of whether Nish pushed her or not? Because everything that had happened at the week and the episode particularly kind of suggested, it's exactly what Nish would do. Which kind of suggests that maybe she did trip and fall, because otherwise, why not just show Nish pushing her down the stairs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, I didn't put it together like that. But yeah, why keep it a secret as to whether Nish pushed her or not? Because obviously he would.
It'd be better for us to see it if he did.
Which kind of suggests that he did.
And see what. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, interesting. But Ravi gets a moment alone with her. and she kind of tries to say, "Oh yeah, the suitcase was just because I was trying to, I was
plan
trying
a
to
romantic getaway with him." Yeah,
and Ravi clearly isn't buying a second of it. He just basically tells her, "Look, take care of yourself." Yeah. So it's interesting now. I think that Ravi has kind of got that on his shoulders as well. I like that because his relationship with Nish is interesting because him and Vinny are quite similar in the fact that they're both trying to sort of earn their place or earn their position as as Nish's son. Top son, especially now Kirat's gone. So I think it's really because Vinny would go to pieces with a secret like this. Vinny would not be able to cope with this at all. But Ravi knowing this is interesting because he understands sort of like the violence of the men of the Panasar family, being a violent Panasar man himself. So it could well, of course.
I think he still feels a bit of guilt as well about Ranveer as well, Ravi. So
possibly,
he's got that kind of bond
that's
almost with Suki, and
that's still got to come out at some point. He's kind of gone unpunished for that still. So
that's true.
It also puts into the frame that, of course, again, it's obviously Nish on the floor Christmas Day in this theory, but Ravi does it instead of. It just feels less and less likely to me that any of the women are actually the ones that are responsible for the body on the floor. They are there, but it feels like there's no.
But then why has Denise got that bottle in her hand and Stacey covered in blood? Well, exactly. Stacey could be covered in blood from trying to tend to him, couldn't she? So
I mean, there's the events leading up to the actual killing. Anything can happen. It could. These sorts of things tend to be sort of like just minor events that happen to result in Denise holding a broken bottle or Stacey having blood on her dress. Because Sharon's and Kathy's got a thick lip, I think, in the flash forward as well. I think Sharon's got blood on her wedding dress as well. So there's all sorts of events that need to happen to make everything in the flash forward make sense. But in terms of who actually is the murderer, I don't really see at this point who it could be out of those six. I mean, obviously,
it could be
Suki is the most likely.
It could even be George. George could be the murderer if we're thinking both him and Nish might have a shelf life.
Yeah, because him and Nish have come to blows already. That didn't take long. So no,
it didn't. Possibilities are endless.
The other thing, of course, is that Eve and Suki aren't running away together yet. I agree with you that Suki and Eve definitely, by the end of the week, I was kind of obviously convinced that Suki did want to run away with Eve because she had that awful experience with Nish, when Nish was being really scary towards her. That great shot of Suki cleaning the floor and Nish sort of appears above her and she's sort of looking at her through his legs as he's sort of looking down on her. That was a nice moment. And Eve's devastated by the whole thing because Eve is desperate to run away with Suki. She loves Suki. She's so desperately in love with her. Great moment between her and Stacey in the Vic where Stacey has to sort of accept that.
I loved that when Stacey talking to her about it all.
Well, it's another thing that Stacey's got to worry about with money wise though if she does leave, because that's another.
Yeah, that's true.
That's another money. Mind you, I don't know how much money Eve was providing for her, and she definitely needed some more shift cover in the van. But yeah, this story is kind of really ticking along nicely, and I hear tell that we ain't seen nothing from this story yet. There seems to be.
Oh, really?
It's a bit of gossip from the soap awards. A few people involved in the storyline saying, next week is when this kicks off. Trust me.
Oh, brilliant.
Mega stuff happening.
Do you know what? I don't feel like we've seen enough of Suki recently. I've really enjoyed seeing her again this week.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we've seen enough.
So this apparently gets a lot bigger next week. So I don't know if Nish discovers the whole thing next week.
Yeah, it's got to be that because he's walked in on him. He walked in on him having a hug in the Minute Mart earlier this week. If you remember,
this is the thing. Yeah. I've always thought with Nish that the only thing kind of stopping him from putting two and two together with Suki and Eve is his own arrogance. Because I think Nish is one of these people that would think that why could any woman possibly want to become gay when they're with me?
The first thing he said when Suki said "I don't love you" is, "Are you seeing somebody else?"
Yeah,
because and that to me implied because how could you not be in love with me? Have you seen me? Hello.
Yeah. But having said that, Nish, there's a very childlike thing in Nish as well. Like he needs comforting. He needs like that sort of constant reassurance. Like remember when Suki had to go to him and get him to drop the charges on Billy or change his statement on Billy.
Yeah.
Like he basically crumbled in front of her, didn't he? And like was just like had to be kind of like
that gave me the icks.
And he had to he had to basically be.
I know.
So he is a child in a lot of ways. Like he's got a real kind of, in many ways, he's got a very low self-esteem. And how you deal with self-esteem is can sometimes result in the Nish that we have today. And it's interesting again that he's sort of realizing that it was idiotic of him to assume that he could come out of prison and Suki would be like, right, yeah, cool, right, where were we?
Pick up where we left off 20 years ago.
Like, ridiculous, 20 years.
Yeah.
And he's sort of just, and again, the arrogance of just assuming that Suki would just be ready to start off where they left off. And he's now getting constant surprises, which is why he's now constantly paranoid that Suki's cheating on him. You know, he's accused it. It's Mitch. He thought that he was cheating on her at some point.
Yeah.
So when it actually does come out about her and about Suki and Eve, I don't think he's going to be overly surprised that she was cheating on him. But I think Eve will be the big surprise.
The fact that it's with a woman.
Yeah.
Or
will she start?
Or will he start surprise?
Or will he have put those two things together?
It looks like he has this week. We had the hug. We had. It looked a bit suspicious that Eve was at the hospital, didn't he, as well? Yeah. And Ravi did. Ravi picked up on that. Did you notice as well?
Yeah. I really like Ravi's involvement in this.
Same. I do. Yeah.
Because I really I like Ravi. Ravi's great. And the thing is with Nish as well, like there is more to. Yeah, he is a villain and he's a nasty piece of work and he's not likable. But I like him as a character. I think he's got a great. Yeah. Have you sold yourself on Nish yet? Because I know you weren't convinced at first because you'd seen him in other stuff.
Yeah, no, he's definitely less Kurt from Teachers now. Yeah.
As Navin's second role kind of brought you around now, is it?
Yeah, I'm definitely buying it now. Yeah, I've got used to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it when New Martin came along. It took me so long to get used to New Martin when he came. And then, it just clicks, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but it happens. I know some people are still confused about Elaine because they're expecting a baby to be found in a drawer somewhere. It's like, no, it's a different role. She's not in Ab Fab anymore either. This is Elaine. Yeah. This is a different role. Some really good stuff with the Panasars this week. But yeah, I think for me, Vinny's going to be the one to watch moving forward. But then this is the thing: if this is all to kick off quite soon in the coming weeks, as in like Nish finds out everything.
Yeah.
That still leaves
quite a long time for Christmas. Yeah,
that still leaves us so long till Christmas. So like,
we don't know what kicks off next week, though.
Exactly,
who knows what it is?
No, it's true. But you kind of think, if we were in November now, you could start to sort of see how things would work.
Yeah,
like, right, okay. So give that a couple of weeks to sort of spew over, and then all of a sudden and then we're at Christmas. But we've got months and months and months left before we find out who's on the floor. So this is why this storyline is so great, because they're just sort of drip feeding these little kind of clues and storylines and big moments that would ordinarily be the catalyst for someone being dead on the floor of the Vic. But because we've got so long before that happens, we kind of still don't really know that much apart from assumptions.
Genius move from Quinn this one. Absolute genius.
It's such a good story. It's such a good story. Yeah. I'm so excited by it. So Ree, that's this week's EastEnders. Another good week. Gold Star, who are you giving it to this week?
Oh, you've got me.
Every week it's a surprise to you, isn't it?
Yeah, because I don't know why. I've not even thought about it.
It's only episode 9. We've been doing it 9 weeks now. Don't worry about it.
I think Suki, actually. I've enjoyed seeing her back this week. Yeah, I really like Suki. Yeah.
I think I will give mine to... I'm going to give it... do you know what? I'm going to... Yeah, I'll agree, actually. Suki. I'll give it to Suki. We saw somebody in the comment section, actually, has been keeping a tab of our gold stars. And can I just say, I love that you do that. Thank you. Please keep that going. I'm a stat man.
Please do, because I was actually supposed to be keeping note of that. And
she had one job. One job to do. I gave her one job. You just keep a track of the other stars, right? Oh, I will. Yeah. She hasn't done it. Hasn't done it at all.
That's a really good impression of me there.
Thank you. It's my Sheffield accent. There we are then. So, both gold stars to Suki this week. Marvellous stuff. And we will finish this week's episode with some comments from you guys. So we'll close this episode with some comments from our lovely viewers and listeners. We start off with a comment on Facebook from Teresa Robertson, who says, I'm biased because I like the Nish character. I don't think he pushed her. It's possible she may have tripped and fell, or he went to grab her and missed. I don't put it past Nish, but at the same time, he likes controlling her. I can't see him wanting to give that up. For sure, he would kill her if he knew about Eve, but that hasn't come out yet. I'm thinking it was an accident. We kind of threw that out there. I mean, I think it's interesting, like how would Nish react when he finds out about Eve? Because if past history is anything to go by, Eve's going to get murdered. Because that's.
I was just going to say, I think it'd be more that he'd go for Eve. Yeah,
he'd
definitely.
go for Eve. 100%. He'd go for Eve over Suki. Which again puts Eve in some danger. But yeah, it's interesting. I can't wait for it. When I was watching it this week and sort of watching the way that Eve, because Eve was really sort of starting to lose control of like her, like really trying to struggle to sort of just fly at Nish and just attack him.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm really looking forward to, is when Nish finds out everything. And Eve is allowed to just do what she wants in the situation, because it's like
say everything and
like how is Suki going to stop her? Really looking forward to that. Have you got any comments?
Jim Pigs 22 on Instagram said, "I reckon he's killed Rose. This is in reference to George Knight."
Yeah.
Bob Barnes actor has then commented, "I personally don't think that Cindy Beale is Rose Knight. It just wouldn't make sense or add up, would it?"
No.
Any thoughts, Rob? On Bob's comment?
I think Bob might have a point there. Just don't know, do we? We just don't know.
But it is Cindy, isn't it? But it is Cindy.
Let's be fair. It probably is Cindy. We'll finish off with Brandon Reed, who has sent us an email. And Brandon says, "It feels like EastEnders is building Nish's enemy list for him to be the one that dies at Christmas. But now I feel it is becoming too obvious and they are purposefully misdirecting us. After Nish got Billy arrested and refused to withdraw his statement, I realised how evil and foul that man truly is. Phil has shown amazing restraint on his part. Over numerous confrontations, he still hasn't punched him yet, and this is one of the occasions where I would like Phil, or anyone for that matter, to knock the hell out of Nish. And one last thought I had was I wish they'd do something similar with Lola that they did with Roxy. For example, I can imagine on Lexi's first day of secondary school, she's really scared and nervous and she thinks of Lola, and we get a nice touching moment between them where Lola reappears to give Lexi guidance. Lola will forever be one of, if not my favourite characters to grace EastEnders. The actress did the role so proud and she will be missed. Rest in peace, Lola Pierce." Oh, that's nice. That's a nice thought, actually. It's to sort of have those moments where Lola can kind of be there.
I thought that myself, actually. Yeah, I did wonder that, but I thought maybe in a few years' time, so that it'd be a bit more novel.
I don't think doing it this year would. It might sort of take away from it, since we had it with Roxy this year. But it is a nice thought, and it's a shame that she was your favourite character. To lose her like that must have been really, really hard. If we struggled with the emotions of it, you must have been destitute.
Yeah, devastated.
Yeah.
You made a good point though, that maybe Nish is too obvious and they're misdirecting us. That is a very good point.
This is what I mean when I talk about this. It's the fact that it's like, because we have so long to go till Christmas. Like, we're in the summer. We are nowhere near Christmas, and we're nowhere near the stage where this would start to sort of tumble into Christmas. So if Nish does find out next week, like, where does it go from here? Where does Nish go from here? How does Nish sustain this until Christmas? It's exciting. I cannot wait. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us. If you would like to send us a comment or a bit of feedback, or just to say hi, we'll say hi back. You can do it by doing any of the following, Rihanna.
Find us on Facebook and Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Lastly, email us at e20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Boom. Thank you very much indeed for listening and watching. We will be back same time next week. Thank you very much, Ray. Until then, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Bye.
Bye.